So I want to start talking about my topic, which is related to the future of tourism, seen from a gamification point of view. But before that, I want to let you all know that in order to look at this view, or in order to be able to develop and create the future of tourism, you would need to have a radical mind shift. And I guess Fata, you already split the... Okay, so a few more left, there are not so many people. So, I don't know, just find some people to do it. So I gave you some puzzle pieces to every one of you. And at the end, you should find each other and try to make a whole picture. And then you will realize, or try to guess what the radical change is. For the people that don't have time, you will see the picture by looking on Facebook for this hashtag. Okay. So, let me explain what I mean by a radical change. So, when we think of targeting, we usually have something like this. So, we have UK citizens, they have 2 kids, they're successful, age 60, 65, they love dogs, they love the house, they're wealthy and married. Do you guys think this is a good, let's say, target to have in mind when designing a product or service? Yes, no? Okay. Well, it might seem that it's quite an okay target, but in the same target there are these 2 guys. They both fit the same target. So that's what I mean with the radical mind change. We need to think totally different of how we create experiences. And here I talk about tourism, but we can apply to everything else. So a short description of who am I. I love snowboarding, and that's why I got into tourism. I really like it. I worked as a snowboard teacher. I was part of ISEC, a student association, where I learned quite a lot. And then I went on studying innovation in tourism in Austria. I did my master's degree there, and I created a student association, so that's why I said student group here. Maybe you're interested in developing the student association in Russia too. It handles how to create these experiences that I'm going to talk about. And then I co-founded a startup called SideView, which is a photo sharing application. And yeah, I did a very good job with my master thesis, and since 1 year ago I present at worldwide conferences talking about the topic of gamification tourism. Yeah, now it's work. I'm more or less of a digital nomad, like Dusty said. It's quite hard, but I like it a lot. Okay, so we're talking about the future. I think for Western societies, the future is already there for some of them, and that's why it's present for few. But the future is for most, and especially in Romania. So now I want to talk about economics. So we see this is a theory of the experience economy. So a while ago, economy was based on agriculture. So people were extracting commodities from the earth, and then they were selling it on the market. Supply and demand was king. There was no differentiation on the market. Well, once the Industrial Revolution came, people started manufacturing goods, they went into branding, and they created a bit of product differentiation, but not that big. Supply and demand was still king. A while ago, we entered the service economy, where services are being delivered, and they're more differentiated on the market. So you can see a bigger difference between services rather than the one products. But my question is, what follows after the service economy? And I think now that we're talking about Romania, we can think that. I mean, I was 2 days ago in a crappy, in a very good Scottish pub, and I had horrible service. So I think in Romania we're still trying to manage how to deliver proper quality services, which shouldn't be the case, but we're still there. And in some West societies, they're already entered a thing which is called the experience economy. I guess most of you know the Maslow hierarchy of needs. This is how it works nowadays. People in a world of abundance, they shift from focusing on their physiological needs and safety needs, because that's already defined, it's already by default there. And I talk here about Western civilization and let's say Romania included 2 in some parts of the country. So they're more focused on self-actualizing, on self-expressing themselves. That's their major need nowadays. And this is how the economic value progresses. So like I said, first we have extract commodities, diversity is very low, market value low. Then we go into making this, services and experiences. And here's an example for coffee. So coffee is undifferentiated on the market, then you make a good, then you have brands, then you deliver a service if you have a coffee in Tractorul, or if you have a coffee in the Piazza Sfatului, they're totally different prices. And then you have an experience. And that is Starbucks. For some it might be an experience, for some not. I will explain that soon. So what is Starbucks doing? Well, let's see. We have 2 places that look more or less the same. They're selling coffee, okay? That's their main product. But one, this is very similar to Starbucks. This is the US, I guess that's who knows it. So one sells the coffee for €2, and the other one sells the coffee for €4. Why? Because they're not selling coffee, they're selling a getaway. They're selling a getaway experience. And that's where the €2 difference comes in. So what's the next step after experiences? I talked about self-actualization. That's the key point now. It's transformations. Because experiences like services and goods and commodities can get commoditized. Because what happens when a product or service gets commoditized? It's being judged based only on price. Okay, where is the cheapest? Where can I find the cheapest product? Okay, but if you've got any transformations for your plan, if you're delivering them a transformational experience to change them in a way, to make them better, or something like that, that cannot be commoditized. Okay? I will explain that later, so don't be that confused. So let's go back to tourism. Let's have a look here. Here we have, these are the key visuals used in marketing by different ski destinations. Can anyone recognize which is which? Okay. So there you go. I don't know how many of you know these, but they're from different countries. So you have Aspen, Dakar, Bali, Zermatt, Corinthia, different countries, same key visuals, no differentiation. What happens on the market when we're surrounded by the internet? They become commodities. They say, okay, I look at the best quality price ratio, and that's what I'm going to choose, okay? So what do they need to do in order for them to survive, in order for them to grow? Well, there is a book, it's called the Blue Ocean Strategy. Well, actually, they need to differentiate themselves on the market. So they have the red ocean, which is surrounded by sharks. That's why it's red. A shark is, let's say, a product or a brand. And then it's swimming with other products that deliver more or less the same thing. And on the other side, you have things that are totally differentiated on the market. And they have more or less no competition. Let's look at an example. So, you guys know Tomorrowland? Yeah? Okay, so Tomorrowland. And if we look here at a testimonial from one person that attended, so it sounds cheesy and it's probably hard to believe, but Tomorrowland 2013 was a life-changing experience for me. Okay, that's what I talked about transformation. And this is just a music festival. And what does this music festival achieve? It's totally differentiated on the market, and it just sells tickets in less than 2 seconds. That happened in 2013. I think it's 160,000 tickets sold in less than 2 seconds. That's what differentiation can do. And the only marketing that they're using is social media. They're not using print, they're not using ads, they're not using radio, podcasts, nothing. Just social media, that's it. Usually the afternoon of tomorrow. Okay, so why am I talking about gameful tourism experiences? What is this useful for? So I want to show you what the memorable experience properties is, because the main product of an experience economy is to deliver an experience that is memorable, an experience that no one forgets. So these are the properties. So they have the 5 senses included. They're emotional, they're unique, they have intrinsic value, they have contact with the raw real stuff. They offer focus, okay? They make people to look forward for the experience, they make people forget about time. They're about doing, so being active, they're playful, and they have a challenge and skill balance. So let's look at the tourism experience. This looks like if you see it in a brochure, okay, come to our restaurant, or like come to our destinations, we offer you something like this. You say, okay, that looks pretty nice as an experience. But let's look within the experience. What happens within the experience? Is this total focus? Is this something you need? I don't think so. And you should think that now the attention span of people is narrowing down a lot. So it's very hard to deliver something having the properties that I showed you before. And then we come to gamification. Gamification is the process of making activities more gameful. Okay? And what does gameful mean? Gameful is someone who is optimistic, curious, motivated, and always up for a tough challenge. So not the guys from the restaurant, and not the guys usually going, let's say, in a tourism destination, and everything that they're doing is taking pictures. That's mindless exploring. There is nothing there. So what is gameful comes from video games, of course, or like any other games, but especially video games. They develop very good. So what are games good at? Well, they offer increased focus. They make people look forward. They alter time. Yeah, you see kids staying there for 12 hours, not eating, not doing anything to play. They're doing is playful, and they have skills and challenge times. And this is how someone playing video games looks like. Okay? So compared to the previous guys that also have an experience, this is a virtual experience. That was a real experience, but it doesn't matter if it's virtual or real, it still happens here. So let's have a look at an exercise to see what exactly I'm meaning by that. So we have a typical Romanian family from Bucharest, okay? So the families, and so Dan is working for Taro, and he's very often away. He's not home that much because he's a pilot, okay? So Dan thinks, okay, things are getting very hard at home. My wife is taking care of the kids all the time. I should do something special for her. So he has the first scenario. He delivers, he wants to offer her a very nice experience. So he books this, I don't know, this experience in Thailand, and a romantic dinner at the sea, okay? That's very nice. The waiter comes, they bring the food, they have a nice time, maybe they take a picture, they put it on Instagram, I don't know what happens. Maybe they don't have Wi-Fi, I have no idea. But I want to put this scenario in comparison with another scenario. In comparison with the scenario where you bring the first part, which is, so 5 senses, emotional, unique, contact with the raw stuff, which is this part, that the tourism industry are doing a very good job with the first part, the one in black. But I want to emphasize the second part, which is gamification is very good at. So we have the same scenario, the guy working for Taro. So then Taro gets in touch with a tourism company that is offering transformational experiences. So they say, okay, we can deliver you some offers, some challenges that your employees could take. So for example, it could be the cooking challenge. So they have to learn how to cook, and then we put them in, we connect them with a destination in Thailand that they're partners with. So we have the cooking challenge, the pilot then goes, learns how to cook during 2 months, and then together with this partnership, they book this place, and then not the waiter comes, but Dan comes with the dinner, special Thai, everything cooked for his wife. That's totally different. And the experience would shift 360, because it's a transformational experience for both of them. One learns how to cook and impresses his wife, and this will have a much, much better well-being effect on both of them and on the experience. It would be memorable, it would be something to keep. So what is my job? Well, I'm writing a book at the moment about this, how to bring 1 and 2 together, so the texting branch and the texting branch. And it is very hard, so because the 2 topics are very complex and are very new, so it's very, very hard to do, but I'm doing my best. So this is what I found out. There is a theory, and there are a couple of scientists who went on exploring positive psychology. The problem that they identified, so this is not multiple Java, this is real scientific stuff, okay? So the problem that they identified was that psychology only looks at how to get people from -5 to 0. And once after 0, they have no other solution. So you go to the therapy, you tell your problems, and the therapist helps you, and you get to 0. And then, okay. But then, what he noticed after 20 years of experience with therapy was that they get to 0 and then people feel empty. So what positive psychology is trying to do is how to get people from 0 plus 7, or from -5 plus 2. And everyone's talking about happiness, but happiness is very hard to pinpoint. So better measurements exist for well-being, not happiness. Okay, so well-being consists of these 5 elements. Why am I showing you this? It's because I found this in every type of experience that I was looking for. That people want to experience and what makes the experience memorable. So I looked into why people travel. I looked at dozens of studies of why people travel. So you can see here the guys that were studying this, and they found out, okay, relaxation, entertainment, excitement, fun, enjoyment. Well, that is positive emotion, you can frame it like that. And then we have escape, novelty, sports, adventure, stimulation. That is engagement. Then, enhancement of relationships, social interaction, family togetherness, kinship, socializing with people, date more. That is relationships. Okay? And then we have self-evaluation, let's say sex 3 times, sorry. Self-actualize, value expression, cultural experience, isolation, and nostalgia. That's me. And the last, we have prestige, knowledge, and reward maximization, learn more, know more, be more productive, and self-development. And that's accomplishment. Okay, I said, okay, this is why people want to travel and experience tourism. But what makes a tourism experience memorable is an experience could be anything. It could be a happy experience, and it could be memorable. It should be positive, memorable, okay? So what makes the tourism experience memorable in a positive way? I also have studies based on that. So it's happiness and refreshment, novelty, involvement, social interaction, local culture, meaningfulness, and knowledge. Well, that was easy. So it's this, actually. Okay. So then I have looked, okay, what are video games very good at delivering? What are they very good at delivering? And that is these 5 elements. But what's so special about video games is that they deliver it immediate. So if you want these 5 elements to be delivered, you just double click into your game and then you're there. You don't have to plan, you don't have to take care about the weather, you don't have to do anything. Okay? Video games are very, very well designed at satisfying these 5 needs in an immediate way. Consistent. In a service, you cannot have consistency. It's very hard to deliver the same level of service all the time and frequently. Well, if we take video games into consideration and then if we look at reality, we can say that reality is the worst game ever. Okay? So I want to give you an example of gamification. This is Hanover. Anyone speaking in Hanover? So in Hanover, if you go out of the train station, you have the red line. And if you follow this red line, you will see the most important tourism attractions in the city. And when there's a tourism attraction, there is a circle with a number. You just take your map and read about it. So as soon as you exit the train station, you're offered with a challenge. Okay? You follow the red line or you do something else. That's an example of Gamified. That's an example of creating more focus. Then we have an example from Poland. And in Poland they have a city called Wrocław. Did I say that? Wrocław. Okay. They have something like 300 dwarfs that you could go and explore and find within the city. Each dwarf has his own story. Okay? And you can get the guide, or you can just use your imagination to say, okay, what are these dwarfs doing there? So it offers you a challenge, again, find as many dwarfs as possible and you explore it, because dwarfs are usually put in historic places, so you find out something. But these were existing before, a long time ago, okay? But why is everyone talking about gamification? Gamification up and down, but actually it's a hack, okay? So why is it high? That's why it's high. That's fata. 2005, 2013. That's why it's high. Technology now. But let's see how businesses are implementing it. So we have startups, which they're supposed to be very good at designing the members of experience. And then we have Foursquare, which was the application that everyone was talking about when it came about gamification. Okay, so that's gamified design and member of experience design. So let's see what they came up with. Well, they came up with, the more logins you have at one place, at the Starbucks, so you have 100 logins more than someone else, you become the mayor of a Starbucks, and then you get a discount of $1 for that thing. Turns out it worked very well for a while. Short-term engagement. That's what rewards, extrinsic rewards do. Short-term engagement. Of course, if I give you something, you will do it because you want the benefit. But how long are you going to keep on doing it? So the approach that they took was simply based on behavioral psychology. You have to give someone a nudge before they do something. But at one point, they will find something else better to do. But why did they approach this, and why did they go very deep inside? Well, it's just because of this. Well, to design something that is very good, you have to keep in mind video game experiences are very, very hard to design. And some of them have budgets bigger than Hollywood movies, and it takes 5 to 6, a lot of years. And some of them that even have these budgets and these type of years and such a huge team, they don't even become successful. So it's very hard to design a very good video game. As well, it's very, very hard to design a very good tourism experience. But what businesses want to do, actually, it's very easy. So that's how the creative process or the design process looks like. At the beginning, you're very confused. You don't know what's going on. Everyone knows about this hype, but everyone stops right about here. And they say, okay, we don't do this. It sucks. I see no future. And there are very, very few businesses that go all the way. It takes a lot of time and dedication and vision. So what businesses want actually is they just want the cookie cutter approach. Okay, give us this. We take it from the shelf, we modify it a little bit, we customize. That's very popular on blogs, if you notice. How to do this in 5 steps. How to make your Facebook page get 1 million likes in 5 easy steps. That is not working. I think you agree with me. So businesses want cookie cutter approaches. Okay, this is gamification, this is what you can do, this is that. Work for me for like 30 days and make something great. Start another. So I want to show you an example that has potential. It's still gamification and tourism, or gamification experience design is still experimental at this point. But I want to show you an example. I hope it works.
One example here. So using the app, as you make your way towards the ground surrounding the Washington Monument, you hear the sound of instruments warming up, which then gives way to the sound of a melody spelling out a very simple melody. This is then joined by the sound of sweeping violins. Keep walking, and a full choir comes in.
Good. So that's a challenge. The challenge is you have to be there in order to hear the music. You cannot just download it at home and listen to it. You have to be there. You have to experience it. So you're given a challenge, and once you're there, you're fully immersed into the experience. And there are other examples in tourism that have potential, like I said. And you can take a picture of this time because it's too much to explain each of them. But they have potential, but this is still experimental. People are still experimenting. It will take a while to come with a very good solution. I want to give you a personal example now. This is how I did my master thesis. So I was working with the Stiegel Beer Museum in Austria, and they noticed that people, they just go in the museum, they look around, and then go out and drink some beer, that's it. But nothing happens there. You just look around like they're strolling to the park. So they said, okay, hey, how can we make something thick? How can we make people immerse in the experience? So then I went in there and I said, okay, let's try this. So first, how you do it, when you want to design an experience, you go into research. So you explore. We used methods as a focus group, or we explored it ourselves. I brought in some friends, asked them what they think about the experience, made some findings. Then we went into the creative process, and here I worked with the marketing director of the Stiegel Brewery, some other employees, and some professors from the university. We just did one brainstorming session, and it was all up to me to design everything. And after I designed everything, I brought in some people and we did prototyping, and I asked them, what do you think about the experience? How was it? What should be better? What should be excluded? Something like that. And then I implemented it. Well, what I did is I created a booklet that could serve as a draft for a web application. And you're served with some challenges. Everything is explained within the booklet. You have 4 challenges. And this is an example of a challenge. For example, if you look in the left side, they have like a malt tasting station. I mean, they had the malt station. It was not tasting, okay? It couldn't taste it. It was made out of plastic. And I said, okay, let's put the different types of malt in meal. Let's put them in these mugs. And there are 5 different types of malt. And let's write the type of malt on the mug. And then let's invite people to taste the malt and remember the taste. And later on, in the place where they used to dry the malt within the museum, they could guess which malt is which, and then write the number down. So let's see the results. I mean, that's just one type of challenge. There were 3 other ones. Well, in the master thesis on the research that I did on how to enhance the experience, how to gamify it, I got the tools, techniques, and everything on paper looked great to make a masterpiece. Well, actually, I just had 1 month, no budget. I was doing everything by myself. I was writing the literature review and doing the experiment and trying to have the school at the same time. So this is what I managed to do with the time and resources. But nevertheless, let's look at the results. So I measured the normal experience and asked 150 people that visited the museum. I did a questionnaire with them that visited the museum without this being implemented. And then I implemented it. And then I asked the same number of people, and I just took into account people that did 3 or more challenges, which is 109 out of 152. And then I measured their experience. It's everywhere superior. If you think of the time and budget invested, that's an amazing result. And especially when you see the arrows, that is significant statistical difference between what was before and what was after. This is quantitative data. Okay, let's look at qualitative data. Let's look at how people actually experience it. So I noticed quite a lot of kids when they were coming with their parents, like, Mom, I don't want to go to the beer museum. Why did you bring me here? This is boring. Let's go home. Blah, blah, blah. They were all complaining. They were all pitching on the parents. When I approached them with the booklet, I say, hello, you can do this or you can do that. And this is how they look after the experience. So that's Lucy, and she said, I think that without the game, it would have been very plain. And then we have a Japanese family, and the mom said the kids liked it so much they wanted to do the tour again. It's just 1 month of 1 person work. So, how did I do it? How could you do this? Well, actually, if you think of tourism, of course you can do it out of your gut feeling. You know what making another person feel good means. You know how to do it. You have a gut feeling. Okay? So maybe if you're trying to deliver to the person a triangle, to make them see a triangle in their experience, you can make them see a triangle. But if you have the tools, techniques, and so on and so forth, you know how to tweak it very good to make them see a very clear triangle. So you increase the chances of delivering this type of experience if you know exactly what buttons to push or where to go. Of course, it's a creative process, but you still have some general guidelines. And how to do it is still work in progress. I'm working on this book, should be out middle of January. explaining everything from experience design and gamification put together. So, to sum up, memorable tourism experiences are key. Game design knowledge can enhance them. Technology helps a lot. It's not easy to design a gameful, memorable tourism experience. Prototyping and experimenting is key. And for that, we need a radical mental change that you will find if you solve that puzzle. And you will find by following the hashtag online. So that's it. Thank you very much.